Gentlemen, welcome to Week 14's weekly preview. My name is Chris Harrington, bringing to you my picks for the week. Before I get going, this is the final game of the season, as you all know, and only 3 out of the 8 teams have really nothing to play for this weekend. One being myself, being the only team that has officially clinched a playoff spot. Although there are others, I'll get to that in a second. Um, Matt is still quote unquote in because of the win losses, which is what determines whether you get the asterisk or not. But mathematically, he is out. He is 80 points lower than Spinogle, who's in sixth place. So Matt and Crosby on the outside looking in, getting ready already for the rebuilding stage next year. They're reevaluating everything. No one's job is safe. Looking at it from top to bottom, but their season is over, and at this point, all they can do is try to play spoiler for those trying to make it in. So let's go. Let's go right down the list. Mopper would be first, being in second place. In looking at his point total, it really looks as if, regardless of whether he wins or loses, Mopper is going to make it in the playoffs. Uh, he would have to lose. Pierce would have to win. Spinogle would have to win. Um, Other teams would have to win and win big over Momper for them to be able to surpass Momper and actually kick him out. So I would say that Momper is pretty much a lock for remaining in. JB is a very close lock to making the playoffs as well. If he were to lose, then he would have to get outscored. The only team close to him would be Pierce, and he'd have to outscore JB by 60 points, or a little over 60 points. So JB, for the most part, is a lock. Mark Sandvig, Pierce, and Spinogle is where it gets interesting, and they're fighting for the last spot in. Sandvig owns his own destiny. He could guide his team to a victory over JB and get into the playoffs that way. Or if he loses, he would then have to hope that Pierce would also lose and that Spinogle would also lose. Now Spinogle could win, but then not outscore Mark by enough to get in. But Mark, just win your game and you're in. Pierce, with a win, can make it in if Mark loses. And anyway, lots of intrigue this week. Pierce, Mark, and Spinogle are my teams that are trying to make it in. And otherwise, I think that myself, JB, and Momper are safely in, unless one of either Momper or JB just completely implode this week, which I do not foresee happening. So my first game is Crosby versus Momper. Momper, I like your matchups. Andrew Luck is not playing very well right now, and he's going up against Cincinnati. But Matt Ryan isn't playing well either, although he is going up against Green Bay, which is a little better defense than Cincinnati. Tom Brady will be all over Cleveland. Belichick coming back to Cleveland to dominate Cleveland, or Cleveland's coming to New England, but and Drew Brees is going up against Carolina. So I think Mopper is actually going to win the quarterback position. I think that in looking at the wide receiver position, I'm actually going to give that to Crosby. I think Torrey Smith and Michael Floyd, drafted by me, playing well this season, coming on strong here at the end. I think that they will outdo Nelson, who's going to have Flynn as his quarterback again, and Denarius Thomas going up against Tennessee. That's going to be a hard matchup there. Running back wise, Reggie Bush, Lamar Miller going up against Bell and Rainey. I'm going to give it Bell and Rainey. Graham against Cook. I actually like Cook's matchup here. So it's going to be close. I'm going to say that's a tie. Lynch and Bernard against Jackson and Cruz. I'm going to give it to Lynch and Bernard. Ultimately, Momper's my pick to win. And he's in. Yeah. Next game, I'm going to say is my game against Spinogle. My game against Spinogle. Spinogle actually is doing well so far with Andre Johnson having a big game, 154 yards for him. Going up against my team, Stafford Romo, solid. Okay, Romo, I would hope he's going to have a big day on Monday night, but he might not. Newton and Roethlisberger both playing well right now, so I'm going to give quarterbacks to Spinogle. Wide receivers, I'm actually going to give to myself, I think. Edelman is playing well right now, and he is not going to be guarded by Hayden, so I think he'll do really well against Cleveland. And Allen is coming on real strong right now, and he's going up against the Giants. Buffalo actually has a better defense than you might think, so I'm going to give wide receivers myself. Running backs, myself, although Jackson and Spiller are going up against two defenses that they can do well. But it's hard to go against Charles and Peterson. Witten versus Thomas. Thomas is actually going to play, which is a help to Spinogle. I actually like Spinogle's team this week. I like their matchups a lot. And then Chris Johnson and McCoy against Wes Welker and James Jones. Jones is going to hold you back in that, which is why I would give the flex to myself. But Welker, I think, is going to go off against Tennessee. And then defense-wise, I'm hoping to catch fire with the Steelers against Miami, although Arizona is doing amazing. So as I hope that I win, and I think that I really could. But I'm going to actually give the win to Spinogle, and he is going to make things very interesting in the playoff run for everybody. Next game is going to be Matt playing spoiler to Team Osel. All right, Eli Manning and Joe Flacco going up against. Oh, he's not. Wow, he's not going with Flynn. Interesting. Manning and Flacco going against Rivers and Manning. I'm going to give it to Rivers and Manning. Fitzgerald and Wallace versus Bryant and White. Roddy White. Well, y'all, I'm going to go with Fitz and Wallace. Running back wise, Frank Gore has been tanking, and he's going up against Seattle. Alfred Morris, I think, is going to do fairly well against Kansas City because they haven't been doing as well as of late. Marino, I think they're going to start shutting Marino down for the playoffs. I think they're going to be up big, so I think they're actually going to go with Ball in that game. But Lacey's doing well. I'll give Lacey to Pierce. Andre Brown, Vereen versus Crabtree and Ivory. I'm going to give that to Pierce. Tight ends, I'm going to give to Matt in a big way. And New England, I think, is going to do well against Cleveland. I'm going to give the win to Pierce again, making the run to the playoffs very intriguing with the win for Pierce. And then JB versus Mark Sandvig is the game of the week. Win and you're in. Lose and you might still be in, but it depends on others. So I'm going to go in this game with Foles and McCown over Palmer and Griffin. I'm going to give that slight edge to JB. Wide receivers, I'm going to give to Calvin Johnson. How do you go against Calvin Johnson? I think Dallas is going to do enough to slow down one of the two wide receivers for JB. So I'm gonna actually give wide receivers to Sandvig. Running backs, I'm going to give to Sandvig in a big way. I think that DeMarco Murray and the Dallas Cowboys are going to run all over Chicago on Monday night. And, Michael Bush getting the start for JB. Probably going to be updated. I would imagine he's going to go with Rice. Ride your Stallions. Or Fred Jackson. Or Ridley. Or anybody but Michael Bush. But I'm still going to give the running back position to Sandvig, although Zach Stacy, who has been a great player for Sandvig of late, is going up against a very good Arizona team. I'm going to go with Davis over Fleener. And in the flex spot, I'm actually going to go with the flex being JB's flex over Mark's flex. This is going to go down to the wire on Monday night. We're not going to know. We're not going to know who makes the playoffs until Monday night of this week. Ultimately, I actually think that JB's team is going to get the win here. And so what that will do then is that'll give Sandvig the loss. And I think because of that loss, I think that will mean that Pierce will actually make the playoffs. So I think our playoff teams will be myself, Mopper, JB, and Pierce after this week. So I love you all. I hope you have a great week 14. I look forward to giving you guys the update next week. Enjoy the last week of the EKL 2013 season. Love you guys.